You pull out your iPhone to make a call or check an email. This has become a routine practice to the extent that it has become nearly subconscious. But some believe that your routine actions have implications in the global digital divide, an issue much greater than the call or email you plan on attending to. The global digital divide is representative of the divide between nations and peoples to which technological advancements are accessible and available, and those who are unfamiliar with modern technology. Innovations, many of which are developed in places like Silicon Valley, represent the present and the future of Western societies. Modern developments have augmented booming economies worldwide. Yet Silicon Valley's insistence upon constantly being at the cutting edge is far from the interests and needs of people worldwide who struggle to get dinner on the table and live a day-to-day lifestyle. Many of these people are living in oppression and suffering, while unaware of modern innovations and ideas. Since most technological advancements are created and more widely used in westernized nations, the global digital divide parallels trends in westernization, yet it extends far beyond international borders. The geographical divide, unlike other components of the global digital divide, is not necessarily widespread. As in the case of Los Angeles, just a few miles separate populations of those whose access to technology is relatively unlimited from those who are impoverished. Unfortunately, a limited world scope, unfamiliarity with the West, and underdeveloped and uneducated peoples are byproducts of the lack of access to technology and ideas. This is a significant obstacle in technology's long-term goal of bringing the world much closer together. In fact, technology may even be creating greater disunification. In order to understand the magnitude of the global digital divide's effects on a global to a local scale, it is necessary to look at examples of places in which suffering is only exacerbated by the lack of access to technology and ideas. One such place is the Middle East, in which suffering and oppression are widespread. And a specific example of this suffering can be found in Malala Yousafzai, from the town of Mingora in the Swat district of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province in Pakistan, whose description of life under the Taliban and promotion of education for girls led to an assassination attempt against her. After intensive rehabilitation in England, Yousafzai became an internationally renowned figure that reminded the masses of the serious suffering, oppression, lack of opportunities, and non-Westernization in multiple Middle Eastern nations, as well as in many other places worldwide. As Malala's story will reveal, the minority of extremists has led to misinformation and extremely limited access to Western ideas. Subsequently, many facets of life in multiple Middle Eastern nations would be considered dilapidated by most Westerners. Misinformation, most definitely a serious issue, gives an obscure and limited vision of the outside world. Due to the rampant misinformation and brainwashing, people are brought into the oppressive groups from a young age. Another example is North Korea, in which all people are subject to an inhumane, totalitarian regime. Everyone must align with the state in every facet of thought, and are harshly punished, if not executed, for failing to do so. Misguided populations around the world, like the ones described and many more, including victims of abuse, such as the child soldiers in the Central African Republic and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, need a form of Western intervention that reveals the porous nature of their oppressors and educates the people. Personally, going from a public school to Milken, I experienced a change in the use of technology. While my previous school might have been fairly advanced, there was no rule that every student should have a laptop, and the technology was often misused or faulty. And many of the students arrived at school each day from tough personal situations in which advanced technology was hardly a thought. In fact, I specifically remember multiple occasions in which the administration had mentioned the provisions they had made for students with no internet access at home, times that would most definitely open my eyes. And naturally, a divide stems between those whose access to technology is relatively unlimited and those who do not even have internet access at home. It is a divide in exposure and ideas to something as petty as being able to print out an assignment. But with this in mind, the correlation between technology, opportunities, and education is most definitely realized. When arriving at Milken, where use of modern technology has become institutional, opportunities are increased and the educational experience is only enhanced. Yet my experiences are only a microscopic example of the greater divide in the modern world. The next question that arises is how can we take steps towards solving these global issues? In the ideal world, what should be done to free oppressed and misinformed people from their state of being behind the technological and westernized curve? Education must be used as a tool for problem solving. The people must be educated about the harsh realities of their leadership and how to think on one's own in a variety of situations. People must be informed of their basic human rights and how to exercise them responsibly. The next step after basic education is integration into Western thought and society. If the people are exposed to Western culture and technology through which they can envision the future, they will have the chance to embrace the opportunities that are presented. Exposure to Western ways would be a benefit to many individuals, from peasants under the Chinese government to victims of starvation and drought in Ethiopia. Most of those who are hungry for opportunity will embrace the possibilities that Westernization presents. Modern technology, which has arguably created a global divide, provides an answer as how to introduce the misguided populations to Western society. In the modern world, not advancing is the equivalent of reverting to a less developed time. The future of the human race depends upon the advancements that we make in the modern day. Introducing people to technology, therefore, is the most effective way to educate and expose people to Western society and let them play their due role in global advancement. However, this cannot be done with the flick of a switch or the signature of a politician. And we can't enforce the Changing the World Act, and if we tried, it would surely fail. The solution to this issue, which will be an extremely slow process over many decades, is the undertaking of individual responsibility, the duty to consider one's actions as an effect on the greater society. For an individual to succeed in acting upon their global responsibility, they must act in the best interest of humanity on a local to a global scale, and give to charity to the best of their ability. Those who are successful and who benefit from the opportunities in Western society have the responsibility to use their own skills and resources to support the exposure of less fortunate people to new technology, ideas, and cultural practices. Additionally, in a capitalistic system, we are driven to produce the best products, which provide the best platforms to educate, inform, and support suffering individuals. As Churchill said, some see private enterprise as a predatory target to be shot, others as a cow to be milked, but few are those who see it as a sturdy horse pulling the wagon. We must do the latter in order to make the greatest possible impact with the best possible resources. When viewed from this standpoint, halting our digital advancement would be a disservice to humanity, since we would be halting the progress of the future of the world, which will affect everybody. With the introduction to Western technology, which can change lives and societies alike, oppressors will cease to have monopolies on their people. It is worth noting that attempts to educate with the exposure to Western technology will be met with resistance by many people and groups worldwide, including governments as a whole. However, the hope is, in general, people will embrace the opportunity that technology provides through its many capabilities. We must do our best to support the global society and not let the few bad apples be the end-all obstacle. So when you pull out your iPhone, you're contributing to advancements that have changed the modern world and continue to do so, as well as taking on the responsibility to support worldwide familiarity with modern technology, and subsequently, Western thought. It's another thing to think about before you check your email.